everybody, it's time for our top 10 worst rares in Theros Beyond Death. So keep in mind, these worst rares are for your limited decks, your sealed decks at your pre-release or on Magic Arena.
That's right. What we're saying here is maybe even you'll play some of these cards.
Yeah.
They range everywhere from they're completely unplayable, do not put them in your deck, to like maybe you'll include them, but you're not gonna be excited about it being your rare.
Yeah, you're not gonna jump up and down for joy when you rip this pack.
Exactly.
And you're like, this is my rare!
You're not gonna be like, oh wow, we did it, team!
These aren't the cards that are gonna push you into a color and draft, that kind of thing.
No.
And we are not talking about Commander, we're not talking about Standard, we're not talking about Modern, we're not talking about Pioneer, we're not talking about Vintage, we're not talking about Legacy.
We're not?
No.
But we know so much about Legacy.
We're only talking about your sealed deck for your pre-release, okay? That's what we're talking about here.
All right.
Yeah, so let's go.
So the first one is Death Bellow Warcry.
This is 5 red, red, red for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 4 Minotaur creature cards with different names. Put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library.
8 whole mana.
It's a lot of mana, Megan.
What?
And like,
So much mana.
you've got to have these Minotaurs.
You have to have reached 8 mana.
Yep.
Which doesn't always happen in a game of
No,
limited.
you're usually dead or your opponent's dead before that time.
Exactly. You have to have good Minotaurs.
Yes, worthwhile Minotaurs.
Worthwhile Minotaurs. I mean, I guess you could go get yourself 4 2/3s.
Woohoo!
But they can't even be the same named Minotaur.
No.
They have to be 4
different Minotaurs.
different Minotaurs.
This just seems like the setup cost is astronomical.
And the payoff is deeply mediocre.
Sorry, Death Bellow Warcry, you're cool, but you're just not going in our
You're
decks.
just not happening. Next up, this one might be good in some other formats, but it's certainly not going to be great in your limited deck, which is Underworld Breach.
Underworld Breach, 1 in a red for an enchantment. Each non-land card in your graveyard has escape. The escape cost is equal to the card's mana cost, plus exile 3 other cards from your graveyard at the beginning of your end step. Sacrifice Underworld Breach.
Now, I'll admit that there's maybe some cool stuff you're going to be able to do. Maybe you're able to cast this late in the game, and it's like drawing a couple of cards, but the biggest cost here is those exiling 3 cards from the graveyard. This isn't a constructed format where you're going to be able to put a whole bunch of cards into your graveyard. Your deck is only 40 to start with.
And remember, you want those cards for when you're escaping other cards while you're not also paying the cost of Underworld Breach.
Exactly. It's just
It's just a lot of mana.
cost.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, if you're, what are you flashing back here? I don't know.
I mean, maybe you have some sick removal spells, right? Like maybe I would say like I would be satisfied with this card if it got me back a removal spell for late in the game that I had cast early in the game, but I would have to have already had a removal spell and have already cast it.
And then draw Underworld Breach.
And again, like we're saying, this is like, is that a great for your rare spot? And the answer is no. You don't want that to have been your rare. It's just another copy in a situational case of like a removal spell or a very good creature.
The unconditional removal spell in this set in black, Final Death, costs 5, and so that would be 7 to recast at one time, which is quite a commitment.
Ooh, it really is. So Underworld Breach, you're super cool. Maybe you will put it in and cast something back, but it's not where you want to be for, you know, the stuff that you're cracking that's exciting.
Up next is a reprint, Idyllic Tudor. Sorcery, search your library for an enchantment card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library.
Yes. So maybe you have some cool enchantments. Maybe you have a god.
Yeah.
Great. But that's not what Idyllic Tudor is just. It's just what it is.
I mean, the thing with this is it costs a lot of mana, and I know you're thinking 3 is not a lot, but what you're doing is you're taking a turn off, essentially, from doing something that impacts the board, probably, to go cast your tutor and then pass the turn to your opponent. If you have a god, I think that might be the only case in which you play this card, because any given creature, I don't think it's going to be worth it to take a turn off to cast this. Do you know what I mean?
It's better be a real good card.
Yeah, I agree. Idyllic Tutor, you're slow, you're a sorcery, you're costing me a turn, and is the payoff worth it? Usually not.
Yep. And like if you're looking at this as a rare that you crack out of only 6, is this gonna put you into white?
No.
Not unless you've already got something really sweet. Next up is Storm Herald. This is 2 and a red for a creature human shaman. It's a 3/2 with haste. When Storm Herald enters the battlefield, return any number of aura cards from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to creatures you control. Exile those auras at the beginning of your next end step. If those auras would leave the battlefield, exile them instead of putting them anywhere else.
This card is really weird.
It's weird, and it's also pretty cool.
It is really cool. I mean,
Yes.
like, if this happens and you have like a bunch of auras in your graveyard and you get a huge turn in, I guess that's really sweet.
Yeah.
But the things you have to set up to make that happen is just too much.
So much.
Just too much.
And I mean, also, it's just a 3/2 haste.
It's a 3/2 haste for 3.
It's a 3/2 haste for 3. Okay.
So, like, okay, you are in red and you need playables. You're definitely going to play this, of course.
absolutely.
Because on raid, it's totally fine.
And maybe you'll even get like a cool aura back.
Yeah.
Or like 2 cool auras back.
Who knows?
Who knows? But that's not a lot.
It's just not a lot. And
All
sometimes
right.
you want those auras, if they ended up in your graveyard, to stay in your graveyard so you can use them for escape.
That's right. And now they're going to get exiled.
You don't have to do it, but like having that choice is sometimes not going to be where you want to be.
Yes.
Storm Herald, I'm sorry, but get out.
Ooh, next up. This one's a spicy take, Maria.
Oh, yes, it is. Okay, so we're going to talk about Peripherals Bronze Blooded, which I love the name of this card, by the way. 4 and a red for a god. Of course, he's indestructible.
Yes.
As long as your devotion to red is less than 5, Peripheros isn't a creature. Other creatures you control have haste. You can pay 2 and a red. You may put a red creature card or an artifact creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. It's a 7/6.
Oof. So for 2 and a red, I just want my creature.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't want it to have haste and then exile it.
The reason I wanted to talk about Peripherals is because I wanted to give a PSA about these gods, right?
Yes.
Okay, your devotion should be good enough that you feel confident that you will turn your gods into creatures most of the time during your games. Because as enchantments, some of them are better than others. I think Peripheros is the worst.
Yeah.
Because would you pay an enchantment that costs 5 mana to give your creatures haste?
No.
I certainly wouldn't.
No.
And I'm not putting my creatures out there to give them like
Yes.
haste for 3 and then I sacrifice them.
Yeah.
Gosh, no. I mean, like, this could end the game potentially, I guess, but also could just suck.
Peripherals is a creature and he's great.
Yes, excellent as a
And
creature.
Peripherals is not a creature and he's not great.
No, you just would not
Yes.
pay this for an enchantment, okay?
And I would say that at 5 mana, again, you need to have assembled 4 other red mana.
Yeah.
Symbols across the cards on the battlefield on your side. That's very doable.
Yes.
Very, very doable. You're going to be able to look at, are there some cool enchantments that you can have? Are there creatures that have double red in their mana costs?
Right.
That would be pretty great. But yeah, if you look and your, red is the lighter of your 2 colors in your pool, you're not gonna want to play this maybe.
Yeah, you've got to be really careful.
Do you only have 7 red symbols across your cards? No, get this thing out of there.
Do not play it.
And again, you're not counting instants and sorceries, so we're talking about what are the red mana symbols across your permanents.
All right, so keep that in mind as you're building your deck, everybody.
Next up, we have Leahs Intervention. X green sorcery, choose 1. Search your library for up to X land cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. Or Leahs Intervention deals twice X damage to each creature with flying. I mean, it's going to get you out of some sticky situations, maybe where you're facing down a bunch of flyers, but is that what you want from your wear, is to be situationally a card that could save you?
I love it when you put it that way. I think this is a great sideboard option if your opponent is playing a lot of flyers.
Do you know what? I will argue that if I'm in green, I will play this main deck.
I think that's fine.
Because if they have 0 flyers, 1, don't know how they manage that. Usually you at least have like 1 rando flyer in your decks from somewhere.
You're playing mono green.
Exactly. Or, on the off chance that they don't have any targets, it's not stuck in your hand.
Yeah, I think it's fine. You get to go get a land or whatever. Late game, that doesn't really usually make too much of a difference, but early game, it could help you hit your 4th mana or something like that. But like we said, it's not exciting. And it's not
ramp.
Gonna pack a punch the way that you really want it to.
It really is not going to.
So
it's not gonna be a rare that you play and your opponent's like, no. They're gonna be like, okay. Next up, Dalico's Crafter of Wonders.
This card is cool, but
I mean, the
also
art
very
is
weird.
Very, very nice.
Yes.
I like the art quite a bit. 1 blue-red for a legendary creature, Merfolk Artificer. Dalikos is a 2/4 and says tap, add 2 colorless. Spend this mana only to cast artifact spells or activate abilities of artifacts. Equipped creatures you control have flying and haste.
So this card, I'm pretty sure, was printed for Commander players. In Limited, it is confusing.
Yes. Like, are there some really wild artifacts out there? There's like some equipment.
Yeah, but like...
Okay.
Sure, you've got to open them and put them in your deck, like, and be good enough to play them, I guess.
I mean, if you're in blue-red,
you play this guy.
You play this guy because it's like
this
a
guy.
2/4 for 3, and you're
We're
like,
not telling
fine.
you, like, don't play this card. It's completely fine.
We are saying don't make this be the card that makes you blue-red.
Right, exactly.
Don't do that.
Equipped creatures you control have flying and haste. I guess, play your equipment.
Yeah.
If you're playing this guy. But, like, again...
It's a weird card.
You got a 2/4. That's probably it. That's probably literally it. Up next, this is a crazy card, Enigmatic Incarnation. 2 blue-green for an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice another enchantment. If you do, search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost equal to 1 plus the sacrificed enchantment's converted mana cost. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library.
What? You're so rich with enchantments that don't do anything that you could just chuck them away?
You're so enchantment rich that you have absolutely no qualms about just sacrificing them?
Exactly. Like, what? You're just like, it's fine. This enchantment wasn't doing anything. That's not a thing that ever happened.
No, usually your enchantments are on the battlefield doing something.
Like, what are you gonna sacrifice a saga before it gets to its last best chapter?
The best, I mean, like, those omens, you might be like, oh, I played the omen and now it's not doing anything. No, you can still sacrifice a scry to.
That's right.
Which, honestly, I'd probably rather have than whatever this is.
Than, like, a random 3
drop? Or 4 drop in this case?
Yeah.
I think that the problem here is you've also got to have the cards in your deck and have not drawn them and already played them that are going to be that converted mana cost.
There's never going to be that many creatures that you have in any given CMC across your deck. Like, what if you did just draw them all already?
And boy, this is just like, it's not really doing very much. I feel like you're kind of giving yourself card disadvantage by playing this.
Again, I just don't understand. Maybe besides the omens, what enchantments do you have just sitting around that are doing nothing for you?
I just don't think it happens.
Next up, we have Nyx Lotus. This is 4 mana for a legendary artifact. Nyx Lotus enters the battlefield tapped. Tap, choose a color, add an amount of mana of that color equal to your devotion to that color. And like, this is a cool card. It is going to ramp you to some amount.
Yep.
But at the same time, like, if it's doing a great job, it's because you already have a bunch of permanents. And like, then the good thing that's happening is that you already have a bunch of permanents on the battlefield.
Yeah, I think Nyx Lotus is just your classic 4 mana rock. If you're playing green and you have like that big giant that costs 8 or whatever, this will help you get there. But what are you doing with that mana?
Yeah.
Like, do you really want all of that mana in one color? I don't know. Like, is it worth it? I guess play it, but like, it's really not going to change your life.
But you're not going to be like, oh wow, I'm going to win the game because of Nyx Lotus.
No, for sure not.
You just won't.
It's not going to affect the board meaningfully in a way that a removal spell or a solid bomb rare would.
Yeah.
So I guess have some more mana. Here you go.
All right, last up, we have a difference of opinion.
Yes.
So I would say that the 10th card in the worst rares to open is Eidolon of Obstruction. It is 1 and a white for a 2/1 first strike. And it has some loyalty abilities of planeswalkers your opponent's control costs 1 more to activate. But it is a 2/1 first strike for 2.
Get in my deck.
That's it. I'm not saying that you won't play it. You could totally play this card, but are you gonna like crack open and you're gonna like shuffle to the back of the deck of the pack? Like, you're gonna shuffle to the back of the pack, and then this is gonna be there. It's just gonna be like, Eidolon of Obstruction, here it is. Yeah. And you're gonna be like, yes, I did it. This is my rare.
Absolutely. We need players, let's rejoice.
Maria, I hope that you open 6 copies of this.
You're never going to be able to attack me ever because I've got a wall of first
Do you
strikers.
know what? I'm going to play a 3/3 and I'll be fine.
I think Eidolon of Obstruction's okay. Is the bottom thing ever going to come up? Probably not. But it is like whatever. It's a 2/1 in white.
You can get a 2/1 first strike in red at common. If your card could be substituted with a common, it's not a good rare.
Okay, so I've got another entrant for you, Megan.
Okay.
Allure of the Unknown. I want to put this on the list because I want to warn people from playing this. It is 3 black red for a sorcery. Reveal the top 6 cards of your library. An opponent exiles a non-land card from among them, and then you put the rest into your hand. That opponent may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost. Okay, warning, your opponent's going to get your best card.
Warning, you're going to get 5 cards though.
I don't know.
5. Do you know how many cards 5 is?
You could get like 3
cards.
lands and like a 2/2 and like another 2/2.
5 cards.
And I've got your Ba. I'm just saying that could happen.
It could, but also okay, it's turn 5.
Yeah.
You draw the top card of your deck. You've cast most of the stuff in your hand. You draw the top card of your deck. It's a 2/1 first strike. Is that gonna win the game?
Absolutely.
You draw this. You now get 5 cards.
I don't know.
5 cards is such like.
I think it's so dangerous.
Appreciate the value of card advantage. Like, I don't know that in limited, outside of some really wild bombs, I cannot think of a card that's worth 5 other cards.
I don't know. I'm so interested to see how this plays out because I do legitimately think you probably shouldn't play it unless your deck is pretty bad. But I could be wrong about it. I'm willing to
I'm not saying it would
accept
push
that.
me into Rakdos, but if I'm in Rakdos, I'm playing this card.
Oh boy. I hope you guys can tell us what happens at your pre-releases if you play
Yes,
Allure of the
Please
Unknown.
play Allure of the Unknown and then let us know what happens.
Because this card I think has got to be at the top of the list for people just like not really knowing how it's going to play out.
Yeah. And your opponent could always your opponent might choose poorly. So
They
good.
could potentially.
And think about all of the what's going to be so good that it's worth 5 other cards. That's what I keep coming back to. You get 2 creatures, 2 lands, and a removal spell. And we still have one more thing that we can name. 2 creatures, 3 lands, and a removal spell. What do they take?
Removal spell.
But okay, so you're gonna cast a creature, they'll remove it, and then you cast the other creature.
I mean, they do get to cast it for free, and you've got to pay. Think about that.
I still have another creature.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think it is very clear. I hope that we play each other, and on turn 5 you play that Eidolon, and then I play Allure of the Unknown, and then we can really see what's what.
Yeah, we are going to have a pre-release vlog, so make sure to watch this space for that after the pre-release, and maybe this will happen.
I mean, one can hope.
Well, everybody, that's our list of the top 10 worst rares for your sealed pool
Yes,
at
as
your
always,
pre-release.
honorable mention to the lands.
Oh, yeah,
We
the
want to come
Scrylands.
up with 10 answers that aren't the obvious answer
Yeah.
of the lands.
Yeah, Scrylands, they're fine. Put them in your deck if you're those
Yeah,
colors.
Great.
But, not exciting.
You make me happy.
Let us know what you pull at your
Yeah.
pre-release down in the comments. If you've got any other cards you want to nominate for this category. There was a certain counter spell I wanted to nominate that Megan wouldn't let me.
Nope. Sure would.
For obvious reasons. But yeah, let us know what you think. And yeah, you can always tweet at us at GLHF Magic with your cool pools from your pre-release. We love to see that kind of thing. And thanks for hanging out and talking about some stuff that's just the worst.